Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Hi, this is Mike here, and we are going to start the webinar right now since it's already 10 a.m. Okay. Yep. It's a gloomy Monday, so I hope that you guys have a good weekend, and let's start with our webinar. So before I start, I would just like to share with you that this session is will be recorded. And if you have any question, you're welcome to ask your question at the questions and answer part. So I will be able to see your question and I will answer that accordingly. And at the end of the webinar, please provide me your feedback so that I would be able to know that what is your feedback about this session. Okay. So some introduction about myself. So my name is Mike, and I'm a robotic process automation consultant at Cybiant with a lot of experience and designing and implementation of automation process and RPA tools. So I am very passionate in supporting business process and to help businesses to run efficiently and effectively manner. And I've experience in helping the multinational organization in design their RPA, their robot across using multiple technology. Yep. So this is some introduction about myself and something about agenda today. So in today's agenda, we'll be talking about discovering the automation potential, the concept of process mining, understand about what is robot and what is differences in between robot and human, and what is swivel chair processes, uh, what are the characteristics of an automatable process, and how to prioritize the automation potential, and what is some skill that we can use to enable a process mining culture. Okay, so a little concept, a little bit concept about process mining. Process mining is a set of technique or is a methodology for a person or for an organization to use to analyze the business processes. And process mining, it is very crucial for organization that for them to understand their business process in detail. Like for example, how the process flow, how the process going step by step. And this is what process mining is doing. And without process mining, automate a business process is almost impossible. Okay. And there are two ways in doing the process mining. That process mining can be done in either the conventional way or using a process mining tool, whereby conventional way is involve collaboration with multiple party within the organization to study and analyze the business process. And conventional way is kind of a manual, but it makes sense to start along with the automation and is basically a good approach for an organization who is about to start with automation. So this is, I would say that is a good way, is a good methodology for you to start to do your process mining and to start with the automation, like what to do with it. The other way that we are talking about is using the process mining tools. And process mining tool is basically a software that mining the data logs from all the advanced application like the ERP or the CRM that use the log and to model the accurate business process model. Yeah, of course, this step it is basically much more advanced and automated that, but there is also some side effect of it. I mean, it requires a specialist to operate the software, to analyze the data, and it is basically a higher cost, whereby you involve software, involve the specialist, the employee to run and analyze the data, involve maintenance, and it also involve software support costs and etc. etc. So this approach, it is good when you are in the step to scaling your RPA, whereby your RPA is already have a kind of like established. You want to grow your RPA higher, and you are more involved into a more complicated workflow. That I would say that this is a good tools to use. But for a starter in RPA, this I mean like we can always start with conventional method. And in today's topic, we will be focused more towards the conventional method, which it doesn't involve software. And to use process mining tools, it can be a separate topic by itself. So today we'll be mainly focused about conventional method. So before I go any further, I would also like to do a bit of a recap about the differences in between human and computer. So what are the difference in between human and computer? For human being, human cannot work for long hour, and human productivity, it decrease as time goes by. But whereby for robot have a very high productivity rate, and their work rate is always consistent regardless of the working hours. So in the other way, we can also say that human cannot work 24 hours, but in for robot, yes, they can work almost like 24 hours non-stop. Human, they must rest so that kind of to recharge and everything. And I wouldn't say human are proficient in just single function. Most of the human, they are proficient with kind of like a few functionalities. They can able to do a different tasks, maybe two or three. That would be best. I mean like five in the scenario. But for robot is very flexible. That they require a very minimal to no training, whereby you just need to throw the program to the robot will be able to run. And that is why I say that robot is very flexible. And then human definitely would do mistake. Okay. For example, for a human to do the same task 1,000 times, very likely that human will make mistake. One time, the very bare minimum, it can go to many times as human become more fatigued with the same task again and again. But for robot can offer almost 100% accuracy in terms of the same task. To run a task, the same task 1,000 times. And for human, it is, human have the cognitive and have the intelligence in learning and differentiate in dynamic way, whereby human can do a reasoning, they have the imagination, they have a creativity for like drawing, to write poem, or in cooking. So this is something that human have, whereby for a robot, it is basically algorithmized in a way that robot only work in a way that we program the robot to do, and they cannot work beyond what have been programmed to do. And basically, they can do is doing the calculation, computation, and also to do the logic as given only. Okay, and I will also touch a little bit about what is a swivel chair processes. Okay, in swivel chair processes, at sometimes we also call that back office processes. And this kind of a task basically have a few characteristics in it. Okay, so it basically is a process that are rules based and is consistent. and it runs consistently with the set of rules. And it does involve with high volume of transaction. It is processed with a lot of data manipulation and data crunching. It is repetitive in nature, whereby it involve the tasks that need to repeat again and again and again. And of course, the last one will be is basically uh, involved in digital input. So some of the tasks that we can relate in the swivel-chair processes is like data entry, process to pay, order to cash, some inventory management, payroll, onboarding and offboarding for the employee. This is about HR, human resources. So to do some order modification, like IT, some processes for employee to change their password, which is related to IT industry, IT field as well. So this is some recap about what is swivel-chair processes, and this is definitely something we require to pay attention, especially when we are doing the process mining. Then let's just go into, the step in process mining. So the first step in the process mining is about the team collaboration and also documentation. So what is this about? Is that for process mining, first you need to understand the processes, the business processes. And this is the time whereby you understand it from all layer of organization. This is a time whereby you are kind of like possibly kind of like doing a mass discussion, a brainstorming session, which involving top management, some middle management, and also IT department, whereby top management, they are able to identify the vulnerabilities within the organization, and they are also able to share about what are the activities among the competitions and also the trend in industry, whereby involving the middle management or the business unit is they are able to provide more specific uh, business workflow overview, or even better that they are able to share the product, the flow, the workflow productivity information, and also what are the tasks that cost them the most. And to involve IT department, this is basically like when we also require their technical advice, their opinion about the processes, the workflow processes, which definitely will involve IT because there will be software like CRM that will be used. And the second part is about watching the process in action. What do I mean by that? Is that in a meeting, when you listen to a person to explain, to do explanation about their workflow, at a very good scenario, we can probably get about 50-60% of the level of understanding of the actual workflow. But when we actually see the workflow, we are getting a more clearer picture. In percentage, I would say you can get 80 to 100% about how one task is being completed. And after we see the process in action, then we can start to think in the deeper level, whereby which step can we innovate or to make the process more practical, or if we can even think about what are the steps that we can optimize, or maybe sometimes we can talk about to remove some manual step, simply because I wouldn't be surprised when you are together with the person who are doing the task, when you see that complete in a certain way, then you are thinking, why are they still using in the old school method? Because my personal experience is that when a task is, it can be completed by just using a few shortcut key, but they are using a lot of mouse click to copy and paste this instead of using the shortcut. When they are asked about what are they doing in that specific way, their answer it is about, oh, when I take over this task, I've been taught to do it this way, and I just follow the instruction. So don't be surprised by that. And this is basically kind of like also a step you can be able to look at it, to think about what are the steps that you can innovate or to simplify it to make it more efficient. Okay. And then the third part is about capturing the as is workflow. So whenever you have a discussion with or the different department, and also to watch the task, how does it complete, then this is the time for you to capture the as is workflow. The as is workflow is basically like the existing workflow of how the specific task is being completed. And it is basically um, need to be as detailed as possible. Like for example, you need to take note of the step including like mouse click into the application. What are the data that have key in into the application? Um, Navigating among different application, like they are using more than one application to complete the task. Like they need to go to website, they need to go to the CRM software, and this and that. So it might be a process that you'll be navigating in between two to three different applications to get the task done. And we might also like think about where are the data moving? Like are they required to move from one place to another place to share with other people? Okay. And to put it in a more generic way, process mining is like, I mean like this part capturing is like drawing the cooking step in details. Like for example, what is the way to cook a sunny side up egg? In generic way, I mean people will be saying that okay, cook egg is very simple. Just crack the egg, just put it in the pan, heat it, and it is done. But in a process mining way, to capture this workflow of cooking a sunny side up egg will be in details like, for example, you crack eggs and you need to heat up the pan. And when the pan is heated up to a specific temperature, then you pour in the oil, waiting the oil to heat up, and you put in your egg, and then wait for 2 minutes, season with salt and pepper, and after that to transfer to plate, so that you can basically kind of like illustrate that what are the detailed way in the capturing the as is workflow. And my suggestion is that whenever you're doing the process capturing, it is always good to have paper and pen, or you can even use a PowerPoint or any other tools that is available to you to draft out the as is workflow. And to illustrate the workflow, I mean to draw out the workflow, will be helping you to understand about how the process is being flowed, and you are able to remember and understand the workflow in details. And also, it is also become a tools for you to refer back if you have any question, and it can be also used for the documentation, as in you are going to document it, the as-is workflow, and to be used as a to be workflow, which means the future workflow of how the workflow going to automate. And one thing you really need to remember is that the more detailed capture you can capture, the easier the process in the designing part, especially in designing the automation part later. Okay. And then the fourth step is about determine if the process can be automated. In this part, it is always good to have a center of excellence whereby it involve various department, like for example, the business unit, some a representative of business unit, somebody from management, from IT, from a developer, from accounting department, and etc. etc. So their role is to collect information and to make decision and justification about whether the process can be automated or not. So in this part, is basically it become a first round of filtering, like whatever information you have gathered that is already become a first round of filtering to decide this workflow can be automated or not. Okay. And the last part, which is also one of the most important part, is to get the key person to involve. The key person, what I mean is that to get the person who is actually working on the task day in, day out. The reason is to involve them is that they understand the process deep down and they will be able to spell out what are the obstacles from the processes and they will be able to pinpoint the frustration point that they are having when they are working on the task. Okay, so this is about the first few steps that we need to do in the process mining. And then followed by, then we need to identify the automatable process. So what are the automatable process? So we need to identify whether so you understand you after you have a meeting with all the stakeholders and everyone else so that you have the information collected, then you will be able to identify what are the automatable process. Like for example, a process that need to be executed on a daily basis. Okay, so it's basically a process that run so frequent, like for example, multiple time daily. It is done done once every day, once a few weeks. These are the tasks that is good to automate it. And then the second thing is about is digital workflow. What do I mean by digital workflow is that a process that using a structured digital data, and to generate input to take the digital data as input and to generate digital output. Like for example, they are taking the input like Excel spreadsheet, email, in the data, data from a database, PDF file, some CSV file, some XML file, or even some data from website as well. And you will be probably asking, what about some scan document, some document that is from fax, about handwritten forms? Is this possible? So my answer is that yes, it is possible. But of course, when you need to take the scanned document, scan PDF, and a handwritten form as a input, then it is more towards uh, intelligent automation really, whereby uh, it involves artificial intelligence that you need to do some optical character recognition. And for this step, it is basically much more advanced and it is not recommended during the early stage of automation adoption. So if you are scaling, you have already have and you are about to scale up, then yes, this can be your consideration. But if you are about to start automation, I would not recommend that. Okay. And the third one is about the major revenue contributor. What do I mean is that it is basically a process that is crucial and is generating a great revenue for your organization. Like for example, a business process that they cannot live without. That the process must be run. So they must then they can only make revenue out of it. I would say that this one the major to identify this one uh the major revenue contributor, this task like I would say that this is optional. But if you found that something that related to this one that the process that is running every day and is basically very manual and very slow, then you need to, it's basically worth taking note if this kind of task is available, because once you found this one and you're able to automate it and it become a task, it become a case that will attract a stakeholder attention, because I mean, like, they involve more revenue, where it generate more revenue for the organization. The next one is about um we can also look at the task where it causes of staff frustration. Staff frustration can be from many factors, but in here we are talking about uh the frustration related to business processes. Like, for example, the business processor is basically have a hectic business processes, the business processes which is inefficient, okay, or maybe the processor has been too manual and is taking a lot of time involved to get the task done. Okay, so this is kind of like the potential issue that causing the staff frustration. And also, it is also about you can also look into the process which is mundane. I would say that, I mean, the process which has been flat, monotone, and very boring. And also, his has to be repeat again and again and again to get the task done. Okay, so some of the process that we can think about, we can talk about. I mean, uh, the mundane process and the repetitive task is kind of like, for example, data entry, um, checking of, I mean, external system to process invoice, I mean, process to pay, staff onboarding, or maybe even to generate daily reports. So these are the tasks that basically, uh, if fit into this criteria, it is very good case that we can use to automate it. And these are the tasks that we need to notify when we do process mining, when we go and find out what are the tasks that fit into this criteria. In the step three, it is about the prioritize the automation potential, and we need to see that what are the qualification for a good RPA use case, which is basically, it is a step, it is a process whereby you need to follow a specific set of rules. And, like, for example, there is step 1, 2, 3, 4 involved, and it cannot skip any of the step to get the task done. Okay, and it must be also repetitive, which the process need to be done again and again to get the task done. And it is basically high volume in nature, like for example, process invoices, that for an organization to process invoice is basically high transaction in nature. And we are also talking about the processes which must be stable and matured. What I mean is that it must be a business process whereby it don't change every few months. That it is basically using a same method to get the task done and it won't change. Because if it change once every few weeks or every few months, it is not a good case to use for automation, because the automation need to change again and again and again. So I wouldn't say that that is a good process. We can also look into the task whereby it is time consuming. Time consuming can be coming from, like, when the staff need to do a data verification from multiple places, or it is about a complicated process which it take times to get the task done. And we can also look into the task whereby it is lack of quality, whereby the lack of quality, what I'm talking about is about the inconsistency in result. Like, one person do, it can be this result, and another person do, I mean, like, they are slightly different of the result or a completely different result. So this is the consistency we are talking about. and the business process, which is critical to the organization, whereby the process, the company or the organization cannot live without. So which means the process must be run on a high frequency basis to get their business continue running. Okay. And we can also look into the, the task whereby you have a lot of mistake, like whereby involve multiple person who is working on the task, and often it relate to mistake. So if you want to improve on the situation, that this is basically it can be a qualification for a good RP use case as well. Okay, so in the other way, we can also set a meaningful KPI improvement uh, to improve, to help to measure and to prioritize on which business process to automate. Like for example, in this one, if you were to automate a complex business process, it shorten up the completion time, which is equal to time saving and cost saving. And it might not necessarily must be both time and cost saving. It can be only just time saving, and it can be only related to cost saving. Either one is fine. That it is also a meaningful KPI improvement to automate the process as well. And the other thing that we can talk about is that the quality improvement. The quality improvement can be coming from process improvement, the result improvement, the consistency of the result or the output, or it can be also about to reduce or to eliminate mistake from the task. It can be also a potential new revenue opportunity, whereby with the increased efficiency from automation, results are delivered faster and accurate. And when this happens, usually it will relate to improve the collection rate or to result delivery, which directly proportionate to the new revenue or increase of the revenue. Okay. It is also about the customer experience enhancement, whereby if the task can be done in efficient and effective and consistent manner, that the customer, whether it's an internal customer or external customer, they'll be happy with that. So this is about the satisfaction, the customer experience enhancement, or in an easy way, talk about the customer satisfaction. And if the automate does bring improvement to this few KPI, that basically this you can put it into your priority list, automate the task. Okay, so once you have all the priority tasks and everything, so the next one is talking about the project scope. So the project scope I'm talking about is whenever you are new and you want to start with automation, what my recommendation is that always start with a task that is easy to design and deploy. What I mean is that the task that is possible to design and deploy in 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. And possibly if you don't involve like the task that involve navigating in too many application. This is also my personal suggestion. The reason is that why pick an easy workflow to design is that for the organization to taste the result, instant taste of result, whereby after 2 to 3 weeks, you design and deploy, the organization will be able to see the result in implementing the automation. Whereby they can even it's a small one, they can be able to see the difference, and they can be able to gauge the difference when running manually as of their current workflow, and to use automation to run uh, the same task, and you can see the result. Okay, it is also about a learning curve for the developer, whereby if a developer is new to that, designing a simple workflow is become a learning curve for them, and the instant available result become something for the stakeholder to buy in, and it can also become an example to showcase and to spread awareness among the organization. Okay, and we could also talk about the project scope, which often the organization are being too excited or sometimes being too ambitious and wanted to automate large and complex workflows straight away. But often this will lead to failure simply because um, when you are straight away, when just about to begin and you start with large complex process, it will be having fatigue from the development team, or it could be loss of patience from the management side, whereby you are spending too much effort but you see no result. And there could be even like the the fatigue can be coming from the developer team by spending too much time to troubleshoot because it is a complex workflow, and it could be also because of the obstacle from development process along the way because it's a complicated. So my suggestion is that start small and plan your scaling of the automation stage by stage. Okay. And what about process mining culture? So in order to uh, promote the continuation of the automation adoption, something must be done, something must be implanted into the organization. So this is some of the suggestion that I can give, which is you must establish a COE. COE, which means Center of Excellence. And what are the function? They must do their functionality not just to do the governance of the automation, but their role is to ensure the continuation of the automation and to spread awareness to the organization. So to spread awareness is basically to let the staff from different department to understand about the idea of automation and what are the intention to implement automation, which sometimes is like whenever we talk about automation, people will be feared about uh, losing their job. But it is also a COE, Center of Excellence functionality to spread the correct information to them. And in spreading awareness, it can be also about, using a different approach, like for example, organizing workshop, sending email, share the business case studies in a consistent manner, whereby you're always doing sharing and spread awareness among all the organization, whether it's a small organization or it's a large organization. Okay. The other thing that you can do is to set up a team whereby they are proactively looking for automation opportunity within the organization. And the other way is that you can also set up a channel to let the staff can actively submit their idea around their tasks about automation. So in this, basically you have a two team. One team is like outgoing to search for automation opportunity to process mining within the organization. At the same time, once you spread awareness and the staff have the basic understanding of what uh, the automation is about, then it is about time that they can start to think creatively and to approach the COE about if their tasks are possible to automate or not. So this is kind of like a communication from both way, and this will be ensure this will help to ensure the continuation in automation. That it will help the automation to grow from time and to grow from time to time, and they are able to scale their automation. So in summary, I would say that process mining is a crucial step in any automation that it must be done no matter what. And it is important to collaborate, especially with the key person, that the key person, which means uh, the person who is actually doing the task, and to collaborate with them, to work with them, to let them demonstrate to you what the task is being, how the task is being done, and you're collecting information out of them and to automate the process. And always remember that documentation is important. Okay, documentation is important in capturing the workflow. So it will help you to capture the workflow, and you are required, if possible, capture the workflow as detailed as possible. And this will definitely help you in designing the automation. So also watch out for the characteristic of the automatable process, which is the few point that I mentioned just now, and to prioritize the automation based on which area you or your organization want to improve. And to start with automation, always start small and scale up stage by stage. And you can do the planning stage by stage. And do not go big at the beginning of the automation adoption. The last one, to establish the process mining culture, continuation in automation. So, which means you set up a channel where you have a team whereby you're going out to collect, to do process mining, to look for automation opportunity. And at the same time, you also have a channel for your staff to submit their idea. So this will definitely help to promote the culture and to grow the automation within the organization. Okay, that's all from my webinar for today. And do you have any questions?
Hi, Mike. Thanks so much for sharing your insights and the great presentation. I think a couple of questions have come in on the Q&A side. The first question is from Amar, and that is, the question is, how can we link KPIs with performance monitoring?
So link KPI with performance monitoring. So like for example, um, at the beginning of the once like for example once you deploy your uh the robot, your automation, okay, so the criteria is that you must be able to have the result, uh which mean like for example the performance before automation, okay, um and after you deploy automation, that you'll be able to do the comparison of the result. So from there you can be able to see, like you link, like for example the time, like the example that I gave just now, the time for a task to get it done before automation. For example, let's say you use 20 minutes to get one specific task done, and with automation, right now we are talking about, maybe we are talking about a matter of minutes. Let's say you use 10 minutes to get the same task done by robot. So basically, this is the KPI difference, and you can see that it is a very obvious result that you can use to gauge your performance. And this can be basically, you can use as a KPI for you to show it to your management or to use it as a showcase of the result for the entire organization. Okay. And IR 4.0 is facing same challenges what do you mean by the IR 4.0 is facing same challenges what IR 4.0 face? This is a question from Ahmad Jafri. I not quite get your questions. Will you be able to elaborate more in this?
While we are waiting for this part, I think the IR4 is the Industrial Revolution, and that's something that we understand, but which are they facing the same challenges that we have seen probably with the previous version of IR 3.0. So I think if there's any specific technology changes that are coming in with automation right now compared to previous technological advancements. Is there anything special here, Mike?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I understand the industrial revolution, but
Good. In that case, Mike, let's move to the next question.
yeah.
And that one is on the chat as well. What would be your recommendation for processes that require data to be extracted from paper-based documents, especially those that are received from external parties?
So for these questions, that if you are required data to be extract from paper-based document, so let's say if paper-based, then it will require uh, more advanced tools whereby you need optical character recognition. Of course, then you need to make the document let's say to scan the document into PDF, a scanned document format, and then you will require uh, optical character recognition to recognize and to capture the data that you want to extract out from the document. So for this part, of course, it is basically a much more advanced one, but it is always possible. It's just that, like I say, if you are at the beginning of the automation, if you can choose that the process where you have a structured data and it is already in a digital format, that will be the best option. But if you always want to start with this is the process which you need to extract information out of a paper-based document, then definitely this is a more complex process which it required more time and effort to get it done. But I would say that it is possible and it can be done. It's just that you need more steps and more tools, which you require what we call that artificial intelligence involved and using the optical character recognition to get your requirement done. So I hope that I answer your question, Jeff.
Good. I think, Mike, that is the end of all the questions that were asked in the chat. Thanks
Mhm.
so much for sharing your great insights today. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. And I think we're also over the amount of time that we have set for this, so I think we're going to move it towards a closure.
Yeah, definitely. So, um, if let's say if you want to discover more, you can always email me, and this is my email address. And before we end the session, I would like to share some information with all of you, which is Cybiant is organizing Automation Day Asia 2022, and this is basically a 2 days virtual event and it is happening on 17 to 18 November. And if you are interested in automation, this is definitely the event not to miss, whereby you will be getting a lot of speakers to speak about automation in various industry. And there will be also certified training for automation tools in the second days. So if you are interested, you can do the registration at this website, or you can actually visit to the Cybiant website for more information of the ADA 2022, Automation Day Asia 2022. So again, thank you for your time, and I hope to see you all again and have a good day. Thank you.